Alrighty, so today we are going to be talking about the topic of saving stones. Now, I'm sure most of you have heard the term at this point, save for the 9th anniversary. I kind of have adapted my opinion a little bit on that, and not only do I think you should save for the 9th anniversary at this point, I believe global players need to save for the 9th anniversary at this point. Now, I know that might seem a little bit aggressive to say you need to save for these banners, but at least hear me out and I'll give you my case on why I think it is, like I said, a necessity. Now, with the 9th anniversary, there are going to be a lot of things that are implemented into the game that the 9th anniversary units are going to be giving you, as well as sort of a team composition that you can rely on to comfortably beat basically the entire game. Now, the only thing that the superheroes team, which is going to be the main focus of today's video, the only team that this setup, or the only event that this team cannot beat, is category exclusive Super Battle Road or Extreme Super Battle Road or certain category missions that you cannot tie to the superhero team. So just keep that in mind, that there are going to be limited events where you're not going to be able to take down the event with the superhero team. But especially if you are a newer player and you want a comfortable team in order to kind of just give you ability to beat literally everything in the game, essentially, the superheroes team is going to be the way to do that. And how are we going to take advantage of this? Well, let's go ahead and get into that. Now, the first thing, I guess it would make more sense to start with part one. It would kind of like line up a little bit better. But with the Gogeta Blue banner, this is where things get a little bit dicey, because this banner I don't think is very high value. But if you are able to get your copy of Gogeta fairly quickly and kind of get out of that banner, I think you're going to be in a very good spot, and that is why having a lot of stones is very important, because this is going to be a good old-fashioned buy 3, get 1 free. The kind of normal format they do for a dual Dokkan Fest or a Dokkan Festival Carnival format. We're going to be seeing that with Golden Week coming up in the next couple of weeks. I recommend you do not summon, by the way. This is how it's going to kind of look, right? Where we've got not a great setup, but if we want to look at superhero buffs potentially, we have this UI Goku, and then we also have this version of Gogeta right here, and then as well as Sword of Hope Trunks, who is okay, right? If you wanted me to say from the best set, like top tier in the game to bad, I would put him in the good scale. And then we also have this Gohan, who's going to fit on Bond and Master and Disciple, and then the Broly trio as well on this banner, who could potentially work really well on like a Super Bosses team, but they are also a very good EZA, so keep that in mind. But like if we go to the unfeatured on this lineup right here, just kind of looking around at LRs really quickly, it's like you could potentially pull Bulma, more on that later. This Pan is very good, but again, these are unfeatured units, so don't worry about them too much. So that's why why the Carnival banner format is just okay, but I'd say if you can get your copy of Gogeta fairly quickly, I think you should just get out and take the W and run. But moving on to this part of the banner, where the value comes in for the superheroes team, and that is mainly what we are evaluating here. We have basically this whole bottom row, essentially, aside from Broly, right? We've got the LR Gods, who work on superheroes. We've got this version of Goku and Vegeta from the Tournament of Power that work on superheroes, and then the 5-year LR Fusions, which do have EZAs. They transform into their respective blue forms, if you do not know, and they are going to be pretty good for a majority of the content in the game, except for, like, you know, a lot of the harder 9th anniversary events that we'll be talking about in a bit. So just keep that in mind. I think this banner does have good value as well, and this Broly is also a very fun unit to have, and that is why we want to save our stones for these banners in specific, because if you're having thousands of stones, the goal should not just be to get one copy and get out. The goal should be getting to be able to pull multiple of each of these units, right? Especially if you're like in that 3,000 plus range, which I know most of you will not be, but that is okay. Not the end of the world, but I do think it is important to note that if you have multiple thousands of stones at this point, that should be your kind of objective, right? Because we wouldn't be saving for this anniversary if we weren't looking to have a successful period with it, right? So the part 1 banners, I think, are just okay in terms of what you're looking for, but the part 2 banners are really where we can kind of shine here, because Beast Gohan, he is the best unit in the game. Don't get it twisted. I'm sure most of you know this at this point, but looking at this banner, we essentially have like a whole team right here, just from this banner, right? Because what we're going to be looking at is, like I said, the superheroes team. If you pull Gohan, Krillin in 18, if you pull AGL UI Goku in Evolution Blue Vegeta, and then this version of Goku and Vegeta, who are going to be dependent on a future Saga ally, by the way, but that's why we summon on this banner right here to get this Vegito, who's going to fit that role fine. That is why we are summoning on that banner as well, to get a copy of him. These two are going to be getting an EZA, which they have crazy value. And that is where, like, they're some of the best units in the game. Like, I think both of these two are basically top 5 at this point. AGL-UI Goku on turn 1 has a 100% chance to dodge. He's doing guaranteed crits on his 24 key. At 100%, like, this guy is literally opening up the fight with like 18 million attack stats. They're guaranteed crits, doing 2 to 3 supers, all guaranteed crits. If you have that 24 key, he is stupid. This Beast Gohan will kind of individually, I have the kit pulled up. But essentially what this guy is doing is, like, he is just able to tank the whole game. Like, there's very few things in the game that can hurt him. You can see his kit right here. But what's really important here, and what I'm trying to get at, is this you know, the value from the superheroes team is going to just be so high. And especially when we look at this last banner right here, where we have the Gammas, right? And if we can, it's kind of going to be the same philosophy that we had with the Gogeta banner, where if we can kind of get the Gammas and get out, I think that would be good. And then if you can manage to get a copy of Future Gohan as well, that would be nice, because he does fit on the Bond of Master Disciple category. Therefore, he will slide into the Beast Gohan leader skill, which essentially is what the game is crept around at the moment, where it's like, does this unit have the Beast Gohan leader skill? Yes, then that means if they're on Beast Gohan's team, or if they're on superheroes, that is where you're going to, like, okay, W, like, they're on the best team in the game, there you go, right? They're automatically going to have higher stock because they're on that team, and they have so many things around them that can protect them, right? If we pull up this Beast Gohan, this active skill does a taunt. Where is it? I just had it open. Here it is. The activation conditions, able to be activated starting from the turn, and then it's like redirects all enemies attack character for this turn. For that turn, like I said, and then you are going to be getting critical hits for 1 turn. And then Gogeta is also going to have the same thing in his blue form, where if we pull up that active skill, it is going to cause ultimate damage, and 1 turn the enemy will focus their attacks on this character, and then he is going to be dodging all of those attacks. So if you're running the superheroes team with Gogeta as well as Gohan, you're going to have, if you're running double Gohan especially, you're going to have 3 separate turns where you essentially are untouchable, because Gohan is face tanking everything, and then Gogeta cannot be touched if dodge is not disabled. So keep that in mind. That is why Beast Gohan is so good. And then aside all of his defensive capabilities, all of the protection that he can do for everybody else, that is why he is so good. He is doing attack, he is tanking everything, and then he can also protect other units, right? Orange Piccolo, I don't have him pulled up, but if you guys know about his active skill, when he goes into his giant form, he takes away AoEs, and then he also takes away super attacks for that turn. That's why why we had him as number 1 in the game for such a long time, because he was able to sort of, you know, take away, protect other units that are potentially at risk of supers and stuff like that, and that is why we had them as high as we did. So Broly, this is where things do get a little bit trickier with him. His domain is a bit of a pain in the ass, and that is his active skill. Transforms to generate the different dimension domain, and then he's giving Ki +4 to all extreme class allies. Especially considering you're going to be running him on, like, mainly a super class team with, like, transformation boost, or running him on the Beast Gohan team, because we pull up his leader skill right now. He also has Miraculous Awakening, which Broly also fits on. It gets a little bit tight, right? Because there's not going to be that many extreme class allies, so just keep that in mind. But again, these are, like, Gogeta, I would say, is close to a must-have. Beast, I would say 1000% is a must-have unit at this point, especially if you're a newer player. If you were to consider, like, even if you save and you get unlucky, I would say you just reroll for Beast. I think that's, I don't recommend rerolling in Dokkan, but I think if there was one character to reroll, it would be this character. And then we have the Gammas as well. They have a lot of different things that they are doing with support. They have their standby skill, which is going to help them, and then Gamma 1 is very good, and they also have a high damage core breaker active skill, and they're going to fit in nicely on the superheroes team, and that is all 4 of the anniversary units. So now that we've talked about why all 4 of the anniversary units are so good and why you should save for them, as well as the team composition, I want to talk about the content that the 9th anniversary is centered around, and that is going to be some of the challenge events. Now, you can see I have a couple pulled up here. Let's get rid of some of these tabs. Sorry if you hear my mouse, but let's get rid of some of these tabs, and we'll look at some of the 9th anniversary content. So the first thing, the first major thing at least, is the Supreme Battle Spectacle, aka the Blue Zone. This has 7 relatively difficult fights, right? Or 8, excuse me. With the hardest fights being the fights versus Beast, and then the fights versus Gogeta. So if I could kind of quickly illustrate my point, we're not going to, like, individually break down all these fights and all the ins and outs that they have, but let's look at the attack stats here, right? This Gogeta is supering for 2.7 million, is doing AoEs with a 900,000 attack stat, and that's going to double up to 1.8 million after he does a super attack, because it's going to raise his attack by 100%. So that doubles his attack stat, right? This Super Saiyan face of Gogeta is doing a 2.3 million super attack that can happen twice per turn. So you're going to need units that have super high defense, damage reduction, guard, the ability to taunt, the ability to dodge, all of these fun things, and that is where the 9th anniversary units are going to be the most power crept towards, right? Good luck beating this event without 9th anniversary units, right? It's going to be extremely tough. You're going to be in for a dogfight. And it's going to be the same thing versus this phase right here versus Trunks, right? Because Trunks is able to lock you in the second phase and then hit you twice with supers for over almost 2 million with 1.7, right? So very hard hitting supers, and you guys can see the damage on these supers is almost triple the amount of the HP that you're going to be having, right? Like 2.7 million is well over triple the amount of HP that you're going to be having, and even on like a whaled out team, right? Like most teams are not reaching 900,000 HP right now, so keep that in mind. But that is why these fights are so tough, and the 9th anniversary units like Beast Gohan, like Gogeta, the 6 Series EAs, they're all power crept towards that, right? Somebody like Vegeta, and maybe even the Golden Week units, right? I think with Golden Week, I guess that's something I forgot to kind of talk about, but like we're going to know what it is in the upcoming days, and I would imagine those units are going to be power crept towards this stuff, but remember to not go too deep when you're summoning for those characters, because I don't think it is a necessity to have them like it's going to be for these units, because they're just going to be more fun too, right? I'd be willing to bet a pretty large amount of money that the Gogeta Blue or LR Gogeta Blue is going to be more exciting than whatever they decide to do with whatever they do with Golden Week, right? I can't imagine it's going to be more hype than LR Beast Gohan. But just to kind of close this video out, there's also going to be another red zone fights again. I don't know why Cell is there. I think that was just a bug in there. But Golden Frieza, again, hitting for like 2.2 million on his super. We're just going to be looking at super attack numbers just to kind of give you an idea. This Beerus right here hitting for 2.2 million, doing all these crazy things right down here. Disabling the buffs and stuff like that. And then we also have this memorial battle right here, which is also going to be something that is kind of tricky. If we go to like the Broly fight, again, supering for 1.7, disabling dodge, all that crazy stuff. So to kind of close this out, excuse me, you need to save for the 9th anniversary units, and I'm sure that most of you at this point have heard that a lot, but you don't really understand why, or maybe you just think it's because the characters are hype. But I hope this video was kind of able to sort of put into light the reason why we're doing it, and the make it a clearer. Oh, and by the way, I also forgot before we close out, yeah, another stage of Cell Max as well. Look at this guy. This guy is a mammoth of a fight. 300 million HP, is able to do this, has an 80% chance to super. Yeah, he's tough. Forgot to mention that. But yeah, so hopefully that made it a little bit more clear why you need to be summoning for or saving for the 9th anniversary, and why you should be very careful with spending your stones. If you want to summon a little bit on Golden Week, maybe do like a rotation or two, get your like the 300 stones out, fine. But after Golden Week is when you really need to lock in and stop summoning, because the 9th anniversary is going to be more hype than anything that they drop from that point. I still see people posting their multis of Dragon Fist and Hirudegarn, when I was like telling y'all, like, do not summon, this is a trap, don't do it, you don't need it, but we still see people summoning anyway. So please just be careful and make sure that you are enjoying the game, but you're also being responsible with your stones, so that way you can have the most fun when the game is at its highest, when it's at the peak of hype, right? So let me know down below what you guys are doing with your stones, how many do you have at this point. Leave a like if you did enjoy today's video, subscribe if you are new, and consider becoming a channel member down below if you want to further support me. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.